I just want to mention Neal's name again since Jack brought it up. Don't want to forget about why we're here. Neal Cassady, Denver's unnatural son, self-described, Denver's unnatural son. A guy who grew up in this neighborhood who went on to impact the world, influence writing. You know, you all know the story, you're here, but sometimes we lose sight of the great impact of this guy. I mean, aside from the stuff we know of on the road and all of that, you know, driving Ken Kesey's bus for the first mass dissemination of LSD to the populace in 1964, you know, impacting beat and hippie, and having a great impact, which is sometimes overlooked, on rock and roll and the rock and roll writers of the 60s. You know, all you have to do is look at the back of a Bob Dylan album jacket from the early days, and, you know, you can read Neal. So I just wanted to mention him again because that's why we're here. Tomorrow would have been Neal's 94th birthday. You know, keep him in your thoughts and tell people how important he is, how important he remains, and how impactful his spirit, which was the spirit of Denver and very much the spirit of the West. You know, when Kerouac and Ginsberg came here in the summer of 1947, you know, they were seeking the West. They were seeking Neal's lifestyle. They were seeking a wide-open attitude that we have in the West that smarty pantses in the East Coast didn't have, particularly in those days, you know. You couldn't go 100 miles an hour in Lowell, Massachusetts. You could put the pedal down and go 100 miles an hour outside Denver. So, you know, just reflect on that when you have a minute. I'm sure you all do because you're here. But it's very important, and his impact is as powerful today as it's ever been. You just have to look for it. I'd like to bring up another local poet now, a guy named Ken Ellison, and he works under the name of Fluid Eye Flow. Ken, come on up.
All right. This piece is called Denver. Denver, Denver, Colorado, in the zenith center bullseye heart of this wild, rolling, restless, untamed U.S. of A. Mile-high city, queen city of the plains, rail city, capital of the Rocky Mountain Empire, of untapped fortunes unknown, gold-rushing metropolis, skyscraping the mountain scrapes, of heavenly variation arcing and jutting at all angles, from the stream-rolled face of the sedentary plains, this metal and cement jungle rising up from the dusty ashes of the dry, sun-beaten land, where the Cheyenne, Arapaho, and other tribes ran to the drumbeat of the great Mother Earth and Father Sky, in their stellar pointing teepees at the confluence of the South Platte and Cherry Creek, till the gold boom rushed in gritty, sharp, quick-eyed prospectors from all over Kansas Territory's new Montana establishment, then Aurora and St. Charles cities, arose from that trampled dust and finally renamed after Governor James Denver. There sprang up rowdy brick rows of gunpowdered gambling halls, dim-lit dirt floor whiskey saloons, sweaty and smelly livestock corrals, and great goods trading centers under the wild western hoof-beaten, spittoon-ringing, clamoring day. And from there, through the nonstop decades, the city bloomed out, and in great turreted and gabled Victorians, and Queen Anne's of European grandiose columns, and colors of the stark earth, and cable cars radiating out in wailing, metallic, hissing, and sleek, growling, shiny, hurried automobiles, overtaking the stoic, clap-clopping horse and buggies, and then adamant, digging and hauling and breathing and sweating and cutting and stretching to present-day 21st century Denver, 620,000 teeming souls now navigating their way within and through this thick, dense, fine-webbed grid in search of their central dream essence, as along the wide, straight-shot arrow of Colfax and sad tourist motels, faded 1950s roadside signs, and neon rustling flags of empty, sun-baked used car lots, and little neighborhood greasy spoons nestle amongst the haphazard storefronts of local barbers and cell phone retailers and funeral homes of red brick rooming houses where white t-shirted boarders lean their window-framed like in Brooklyn with loose jowls and heavenly eyes for the passers-by below who skirt along with gritty cigarette butt and paper-strewn sidewalk, chasing their daily errands till Fillmore West appears still echoing out from decades of blazing blunt rock and roll and liberating streaming wails to Pancho's Broken Arrow, deadheads jamming around the wide central bar, reminiscing uninhibited of Jerry and Haight-Ashbury and Mary Jane and Moab in the Good Times picture-framed walls, and next door, Dulcinea's 100th Monkey, tiny jazz club of local ragtag hipsters and players along the abstract canvases, and the lazy, lean-back couches where crowds stuff in giddy and excited after the big shows let out, and then Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception Cathedral appears as a great sculpture beckoning God from somewhere above her transcendent, monolithic, carved archway facade, with steeples itself appearing as mini cathedral itself, and immense circular stained glass window and unique weave star pattern and the twin notch towers with airy empty belfries and coal black bells frozen in mid-swing, reaching far above the racing street, where in a couple blocks the great gray stone fortress of the state capitol rises with colossal columned entrances to each of the four directions, and above the proud golden helmet dome and red-eye beacon up and over the surrounding area, where from the front steps the wide concave Greek columns facade of the city and county building can be viewed across the formal gardens of the Civic Center, often glowing in the cascade of colored lights for holidays, and the heavy fortressed U.S. Mint just behind with its monster black spiked fence, all seeing sky cams and the lucky money semis parked in the back, idle as the bag of coins quickly move along inside, ready for the worn hands of the masses, to the roaring serpentining spear flying northwards by the great towering glass shell of the convention center with a wild glass shard point hovering nearly to the street line, this massive glass entity glowing like a bright beacon for miles around over the plateau in the cool evening, and adjacent the four-story pure white smooth faceless twin dancers caught in mid-flight. And soon the stacked condo lofts of Lodo can be seen just across Cherry Creek alongside old red brick warehouses with long-forgotten painted signs barely visible, and down Larimer Street of forgotten beat pool halls and hustlers to Market, Blake, Wazee, Wincoop of candle-lit supper clubs, taverns, and trendy retailers, to the immense stone blocks of Union Station, where the California Zephyr zips daily through great steam clouds rising from Commerce City north, from the great oil refinery cities of twinkling golden lights, and back down the 16th Street pedestrian walkway, past the deep, concentrating slow-motion chess players, the Daniel and Fisher's clock tower stabbing the sky, the punks and the hoods and the tourists entertaining their own as the city dreams away around them, and the weary-eyed stragglers find their lonely stoop of redemption inside alleys' bleak, dank confines. As street performer Afrobot entertains his legions, waiting to spoof unknowing passersby with his Michael Jackson or Darth Vader mock impersonations. As the mall shuttle breezes by in a white flash, and the clear, jellyfish-like rounded street lamps twinkle and shine as the skyscrapers appear overhead, daunting the passive sky, the lives in these cubes flashing and waning, as the windows glow softly and darken out across the web grid of arteries, are slowing and the dreams are beginning, as the moon is rising above the horizon and the silhouette of the mountains are like a wall of clouds holding back all the wildness from spilling over that last gate. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Beck. Last minute.